New at 10, how much sex are you having? A recently published study says that younger people aren't having as much sex as older generations.
Tonight, Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer spoke to some millennials who are just as surprised as you might be.
Let's have a talk.
I'm sorry, I got nothing. I have no idea. You caught me off guard.
You know, the one about the birds and the bees. How many times a week do you have sex?
That depends on the week. No, it's about 1 to 2.
Wyatt Sherrick is 21 years old. That means he's at the cusp end of being a millennial. He tells us he thinks 1 to 2 times a week in bed is average for his age group. And that underlines a new study that says millennials aren't having as much sex as other generations, like baby boomers.
Have you guys heard anything about this, or is this kind of brand new to you guys?
New to me. About it, yeah.
Caitlin and her friend Becca are also millennials.
I think like some people's like priorities might be different than like what they were back then. Like some people might be more focused on like school and that kind of thing.
I think there's a lot of pressure, pressure to succeed in life, pressure to live up to expectations.
And according to psychologists, they're not far from wrong.
In fact, sex therapist Dr. Stacey Benson tells us millennials tend to be less impulsive because they were more sheltered by their parents. She says they are more aware of all things risky, including sex, and of course, social media is playing a role. Millennials are more likely to express themselves sexually through sexting rather than actual sex.
But not everyone we talk to thinks millennials are spending less time in bed.
Do you believe it?
No, not really. Sorry.
Now, it doesn't matter how many times a week you're getting it on.
How many times a week you have sex?
0. Yep.
0.
Dr. Benson says millennials might be getting it right. She tells us they don't feel pressured into having sex to maintain a relationship. And she says millennials grew up in an overly sexualized culture, so now they're turning down the heat. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
Back to social media again, Dr. Benson says another thing adding to the decline of sex among millennials is Instagram. She tells us people are comparing their bodies to the ones they see on the app and feeling less confident in themselves.
We had our